Save your life.
Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 8. Which, of course, is a special part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. All parts are special, not to diminish the other parts, but some parts are especially treasured. And this section is known as the Ramananda Samvad, or the divine dialogue between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. Yesterday we got to the point where Mahaprabhu has kind of acquiesced, and in Ramananda Roy's progressive suggestions about what bhakti might be, definitions of the highest level of bhakti, Mahaprabhu is dismissing them, and he's saying, go further. I think the Bengali is Ehobaya, go further. This is not sufficient. We need more. We need a deeper explanation. And so then Ramananda Roy is proffering a deeper explanation, until the point where Ramananda Roy offers up the famous verse, Gyane prayasham udapasya namanta eva. And Mahaprabhu says, well, yes, this is okay, but you can explain further. This is acceptable now, but there is room for elaboration. So the backstory to the Ramananda Samvad, for a bit of context, is that Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and gone to Puri pretty expeditiously. And upon arrival in Puri, he had gone to the temple of Jagannath, and in an ecstatic devotional trance, he had lost consciousness and collapsed. So people were, who is this fulgent, beautiful new sannyasi, is swept into town and collapsed in an ecstatic devotional trance in front of Jagannath. And word of this came to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he immediately picked up that, he immediately understood that Mahaprabhu was no ordinary sannyasi, and so he had Mahaprabhu taken to his residence. And it was there that Mahaprabhu informed Sarvabhauma of his plan. Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri for a couple of months and then began his South India tour. He headed south. But before he did, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him about Ramananda Roy, who is a governor, like a magistrate. He worked for the government in a district south of Puri, in what is, I think, now probably Andhra Pradesh, on the east coast of India. So, traveling through that district, Mahaprabhu was preparing to meet Ramananda Roy. And this happened on the bank of the Godavari River, where Mahaprabhu had taken his bath, and Ramananda Roy came along in a royal procession with his entourage to have his bath, etc., in the river. There's some fanfare attached to the rituals of a person in the government at that time, even taking a bath. Anyway, so Ramananda Roy pays his obeisances to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu asks for an explanation on devotional service, the goal of devotional service. And Ramananda Roy offers up the proposal that Varnashram Dham, following Varnashram, perfectly. This is the goal. Through doing this, we can attain Krishna Bhakti. And Mahaprabhu summarily rejects that. And then the Ramananda Samvad begins, delineating progressively higher levels of what is devotion to Krishna, until the very zenith is achieved. So it goes from A to Z, so to speak, or from 0 to hero. 0 to what is like Madhurya Ras. That's where the Ramananda Samvad ends. Pure Madhurya Ras. Anyway, there's a junction as the Ramananda Samvad is being expressed or revealed. And that is where Mahaprabhu is rejecting everything. Even the famous Gita verse. Who knows the famous Gita verse that Ramananda Roy offered and Mahaprabhu rejected? Exactly, yeah. Sarvadhamam parityajya mamikam sharanam braja. Which is expressing wholesale surrender to Krishna. It's saying abandon not only irreligion, but also religion. Give up your conception. Give up your bad habits, of course. Everyone's aware that bad habits must be relinquished in order to advance spiritually. But also give up that idea of what you think is dharma. That needs to be abandoned as well. This is a conundrum for a lot of people. Give up the good as well. And Krishna's like, yes, you have to give up the good too. It's wholesale renunciation of one's idea of good and bad, this relative idea of good and bad, because even good works are going to bind one further to the so-called good reactions in the material world. Bad works will invite a bad reaction, and good works a good reaction. In other words, both, the interplay of both is going to perpetuate the roller coaster motion that we know as samsara and the play of karma in this world. The interplay of happiness and sadness. It's like tantamount to a roller coaster where a person's going up and down, sometimes through species of life, sometimes into heaven, sometimes down into what may be termed hellish conditions. And this is through acting based on one's idea of good and bad. So Krishna in the Gita, chapter 18, saying, I think chapter 18. Yeah, chapter 18. Actually, yeah. Anyway, he's saying, give up both good and bad, because they're both going to add fuel to your karmic energies that are forcing you up and down and up and down, and what can be an endless cycle. But so that sounds very exclusive. That sounds very, the ultimate sacrifice of giving up all of your intellectual or considerations of what will not only be deemed as bad, but maybe a temptation for you, but also what you may deem as good and healthy. That needs to be rejected in favor of exclusive and wholesale devotion to Krishna. So why is Mahaprabhu rejecting it? Why is Mahaprabhu rejecting it? Because, and Gurudev gives the answer to this. He says, because after that surrender, there is no advice on what to do next. What do you do next? Surrender is one thing. Elimination of our perceived bad and good actions is okay and recommended and necessary, but what to do next? That is the achievement of a passive state. Seva and service to Krishna is an active state. So it doesn't touch on the action that is required after that surrender. It doesn't cover the maxim that Gurudev that we know so famously: surrender and serve. So it covers the surrender part, but not the service part. That is Gurudev's explanation of why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dismissed that suggestion by Ramananda Roy that this is the highest pinnacle, or this is the pinnacle of bhakti. And then the junction is reached. Jnane prayasham udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shrutigatam tanuvan manobhir ye prayasho jita jito pyasi tais trilokyam. Ramananda Roy continued, Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, those who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication and animal slaughter, surrendering themselves fully with body, words and mind. They can live in any ashram or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable." That's Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada's translation. There's a concise versions elsewhere, but then Prabhu kahe ehohaya age kaha ara raya kahe prema bhakti sarva sadhya sara. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "This is all right." So he's given some kind of endorsement, some kind of acceptance at this point. This is all right, but still you can speak more on the subject. Ramananda Rai then replied, "Ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection. Nano pachara krita pujanam artabandho prem naiva bhakta hridayam shuka vidrutam syat yavat shud asti jatare jaratta pipasha tavat shukhaya bhavato nanubakshya peye." Ramananda Roy continued, "As long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very happy. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of the devotee." I think this is where we got up to yesterday, right? This is where Vishaka Didi got to yesterday. And she spoke nicely on that. Krishna bhakti rasa bhavita mati kriyatam yadi kutopi labhyate tatra lolyam apimulyam ekalam janmakoti sukritir nalabhyate. Pure devotional service and Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price. That is, intense greed to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. We got to that one too. So this is where we got, that's the verse that we got to yesterday. The intense greed necessary, likened to the desire for the demands of the stomach, food and drink. that's an example given, that kind of hunger. And as Vishakaditi was saying yesterday, that when you're very hungry, you can't really think of anything else. You need to eat, you need to give your body some nutrition, and then you can go on with other secondary activities. And that is, of course, the basic need of any living organism is survival. So hunger is the first thing, the priority, the fundamental need that must be satisfied. And then all other subsidiary activities, even procreation, are taken care of after that. So if the point being that hunger, that fundamental drive, must be transferred from the body to the heart. So the heart is seeking Krishna with the same intensity that we have to perpetuate or to ensure our physical survival. That same demand, that same drive, that need is transferred from the stomach, say, to the heart. So the heart is crying out with that same hunger, that same need to ensure almost a sense of survival. I need it to live. It's being expressed here by Ramananda Roy, that kind of lolyam, extreme desire. In the Second World War, I presume it applies across the board to anyone that's put into an environment of deprivation, but British soldiers captured by the Germans in the Second World War and put into some quite deprived prison environments. Inside there, everything else was subsidiary. Even talk about the opposite sex, which a materialistic person is occupying thoughts of such quite frequently. They form quite a consistent thread in a person's consciousness in their life. But even that was gone because they didn't have enough food. They were being starved in there. So the talk was all about food. Sit up and talk about delicious food back home that they will eat when they get released, and how to get some more food, and how to procure some food, maybe steal it from the kitchen. So the whole consciousness was about this drive to feed the body for increased nutrition and taste. Everything else is stripped away and the focus was on the food. So similarly, everything else must be stripped away and the focus is on the desire to achieve success in Krishna consciousness. So Mahaprabhu replies, Prabhu kahe eho haya, age kaha ara, raya kahe dasya prema sarva sadhya sara, eho haya. This is all right. Eho haya. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, this is all right, but if you know more, please tell me. In reply, Ramananda Roy said, spontaneous loving service in servitude, as exchanged by master and servant, is the highest perfection. Otherwise known as Dasyaras. Who's the personification of Dasyaras? Hanumanji. Yannama shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmala tasya tirtha padakim va dashanam avashishyati. A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 9.5.16, and is an admission by the great sage Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni, a caste brahmana and great yogi, used to hate Ambarish Maharaj. When he decided to chastise Maharaj Ambarish through his yogic powers, he was chased by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When things were settled, he said, "When the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is heard by any person, that person is immediately sanctified. The Supreme Lord is master of the devotees, and the devotees, under his shelter, naturally come to own his opulences." Bhavantam ivanucharan nirantara prasantanish nishesha mano ratantara kadaham aikantika nitya kinkara prahar sayishyami sanata jivitam. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage in your permanent, eternal service, spelling mistake here, and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? And this is another statement by Yamunacharya, Yamunacharya is the guru of, I'm asking test questions here, he's the guru of Ramanujacharya. It's interesting that there are several, well, it's pertinent and expected that there are some quotes from Yamuna Acharya being given by Ramananda Roy in this dialogue with Mahaprabhu, because Ramananda Roy belongs to the Sri Sampradaya, of which Ramanujacharya is the prominent acharya. So it's natural that the guru of Ramanujacharya, Yamunacharya, will be quoted by Ramananda Roy, who is a devotee of the Sampradaya. The Ramanandis, actually they're called Guru Maharaj, they're a kind of an offshoot of the Sri Sampradaya. Ramanandis, of which Ramananda Roy belonged to. So it's expected for him to be quoting verses of his predecessor acharyas. Another famous person who belonged to the Ramanandi sect was Goswami Tulsidas. He's the author of the Ramcharitmanas, the Hanuman Chalisa, and many other works. However, at some stage the Ramanandi sect began to get flavored with impersonalism. Mahaprabhu replies, Prabhu kahe eho haya kichu age ara, raya kahe shakya prema sarva sadya sara. Hearing this from Ramananda Roy, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. In reply, Ramananda Roy said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. Shakya rasa. So now he's going up through the gradations of the rasas. Kind of like Gopakumar. Itham satam brahma sakanu bhutya dasyam gatanam parudaivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sardham vijakru krita punya punja. Neither those engaged in the self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys. Prabhu kahe eho utama age kaha ara, raya kahe vatsalya prema sarva sadya sara. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Roy then replied, loving service to the Lord in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam yashoda va mahabhaga papo yasya stanam hari. Ramananda Roy continued, O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yasoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suckle on her breasts? Nemam virincho nabhavo nashrir apyanga samshraya prasadam lebhiri gopi yatat prapa vimuktidat. The favor Mother Yasoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Prabhu kahe eho utama age kaha ara raya kahe kanta prema sarva sadhya sara. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. Of course, he's hinting at Madhura Ras. Ramananda Roy then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead. Mahaprabhu's next interaction with the devotees in the Ramanuja Sampradaya was when he reached Sri Rangam, further south, and stayed for the 4 months of the rainy season, Chaturmasya, with at the house of one Vyankatabhata, who was a devotee of Sri Ranganath. And he had 2 brothers. Prabodhananda Saraswati was one of them, who later became known as Prabodhananda Saraswati. Goswami Maharaj calls Prabodhananda Saraswati Mahaprabhu's first and ultimate fanatic. But why I'm saying this is because when Mahaprabhu was there, he began to have some discussion with Vyankatabhata, and this point of, because the Ramanuja Sampradaya worships Lakshmi Narayan as supreme, so this point of contention arose: who is superior, Lakshmi Devi or the worship of Narayan or Krishna? And Mahaprabhu's statement was along what Mahaprabhu said to Vyankata, that if the pastimes of Krishna and the gopis were not superior to those of Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Narayan, then why was Lakshmi Devi desirous of but not able to enter the Vrindavan Leela? She wanted to, but was not quite able to, because the gradation of devotion is superior to that of Vaikuntha. And this is also being expressed somewhat here in the previous verse, where it says,
are you following? Regarding Vaikuntha,
some of these words.
yes, well, we have to remember that this is the sort of the climax of the Ramananda Samvad. So we sort of have to just go with.
But I will go off and research some of this anyway. So
yes.
But it's your only question is time, because.
Okay, sure.
Vaikuntha, Narayan, that
Yes.
I don't think he follows them, perhaps. Yeah.
No, I know. We'll come to that.
Okay. It's different developments of rasa,
Right.
different developments of relationship with the Supreme, with Krishna.
Yeah.
And the fact being that Krishna appears in different forms to facilitate varieties of relationship. And those relationships suit the taste of the devotee. So in one sense, Krishna is attracted to devotion and he's captured by devotion. And so he takes on a personage, a form to suit the pure devotional desires of the devotee. And as those devotional desires increase in quality, a refinement process takes place, and the form of Krishna which they worship may change, which they are attracted to may change. There's another story written by one of the saints that came after Mahaprabhu called Sanatana Goswami, and it's called the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, and it's a story about one person called Gopa Kumar, and he goes through these various hierarchical levels of bhakti, of devotion, of relationship with Krishna, and the rasa, which means the nature of the relationship, changes and becomes more and more refined as he moves up through these hierarchical levels of devotion. So essentially what it's saying is that bhakti and devotion is not static.
Right.
It's not a dead thing. It's a living thing. And it has gradations. And this talk between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy on the banks of the Godavari River is basically expressing scripturally that concept of development of rasa. At least in the last the last section where he's talking about going from dasya ras to friendship, to shakya ras, to vatsalya ras, which is parental mellows, parental rasa, and then conjugal, the madhura ras. Madhura means sweet, which is the highest ras, conjugal ras. And that is the essential concept being expressed, that devotion is living, and there are gradations of devotion. They match the desire and the qualification. The devotee can desire it, but of course there must be qualification to match. And then that rasa may be achieved.
When you said sampradaya, you mean is that like different sects?
You could say that, yeah. Different sampradaya could be translated loosely as a school of thought. Mm. Yeah. And so the Sri Sampradaya, or sometimes known as the Ramanuja Sampradaya, because he's their cardinal saint, their understanding of the pinnacle of bhakti was developed on by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is being exhibited in his discussion with Ramananda Roy, who, although appeared in the Sri Sampradaya, was in his heart of a higher devotee. Otherwise, how could he be questioned by Mahaprabhu like this and successfully express the highest devotional sentiments of Madhura Ras? And so the same concepts were discussed when Mahaprabhu reached the heartland of the Sri Sampradaya, which is Sri Rangam in South India, and stayed with other Sri Vaishnava devotees, Venkatabhata and his brothers, one of them was Prabodhananda Saraswati, and there was another one, I forget his name. And the same principle of development of rasa, of achieving the very pinnacle of devotional sentiment, was discussed. And that is to be found in the sentiments of the gopis headed by Radharani. And that is, the nature of that sentiment is sweet, Madhura ras. So this is the pinnacle of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. So it's pretty high. But that is the philosophy of it, the theology of it, is that there are gradations of development of devotional sentiment. Of course, Mahaprabhu's stay in South India resulted in the conversion of that whole family to the acceptance of higher levels of devotion. And the nephew of Venkata Bhatta was known as Gopal Bhatta, and he later travelled to Vrindavan and became instrumental in service there of codifying the works codifying the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, putting them down in words and writing and doing other services there.
Are you able to give a very pithy definition of Gaudiya Vaishnavism? Because it's a flipped it means this sort of this some either school of thought, but what does it actually mean?
Gaudiya Vaishnavism, okay, a very pithy explanation. Gaudiya refers to Bengal. If you want the most mundane explanation, then it's Vaishnavism that is from Gaudiya or Bengal Vaishnavism. A slightly more developed explanation is Chaitanya Vaishnavism. You'll hear both the terms used interchangeably in academic circles if you're an academic, but that would be their definition. As if you wanted like a prosaic definition as a starting point to build from, Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And of course Chaitanya Vaishnavism refers to Vaishnavism coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll just finish here because this is, actually the chapter goes on for a bit. But we'll do another verse or two. So Ramananda Roy has touched on Madhura Ras, and he gives an elaboratory verse from the Bhagavad Purana. Nayam shriyo na unitantarate prasada svaryositam nalina gandarucham kutonya rasotsave syabuja danda grihita kanta labda shisham ya utagad vraja sundarinam. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasalila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favour was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily lustre and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation. And Srila Prabhupada's purport. This verse, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:47-60, was spoken by Uddhava when he visited Sri Vrindavan to deliver a message from Krishna to the gopis. Uddhava remained in Vrindavan to observe the activities of the gopis there. When he saw the ecstatic love for Krishna and separation manifested by the gopis, he appreciated their supreme love and therefore expressed his feelings in this verse. He admitted that the fortune of the gopis could not be compared even to the fortune of the goddess of fortune, to say nothing of the beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, to say nothing of the beautiful girls on the earth planet, as the last sentence in the verse says. Tasham avaribuch chori Smayamana Mukhambuja Pitambara Darasragvi Shakshan Manmata. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. Jai. Krishna praptira upaya bahu vidhaya Krishna prapti taratamya bahuta achaya. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All of those transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. Kintu yanraye rasa se sarvotama tatasta hana vicharele achetaratama. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. So that's essentially summarizing the principle behind this Ramananda Samvad. There are higher and lower degrees of love. Yatotaram asosvada vishesholasa mayapi ratir vashanaya svadvi bhashate kapikasyajit. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. So the most intense love is conjugal, Madhura Ras. Purva Purva Raseraguna Pare Pare Haya Dui Tinu Ganane Pancha Paryanta Badaya. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to the point of 5 complete qualities. So in Madhura Ras, all the other qualities, all the other rasas are contained there. And then I think the example of earth is given. Right, it is, yes. Gunadikye svadadikya bare pratirasa rase shantadasya shakya vatsalyera guna madure tevaishe. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Shantaras, Dasyaras, Shakyarasa and Vatsalyarasa are all manifested in conjugal love, Madhura Rasa. Akashadira gunayena para parabhute duitina krame bare pancha pritivite. The qualities in the material elements, sky, air, fire, water and earth, increase one after another by the gradual process of 1, 2 and 3, and at the last stage, in the element earth, all 5 qualities are completely visible. We'll finish with one more verse. Paripurna Krishna Prapti e prema haite e pramara vasha Krishna kahe bhagavate. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhura Ras or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. And this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Shri Ramananda Samvad Ki Jai. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopala Govinda Ram Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Giridharu Ji Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Guru Dev Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Samaveda Vaishnav Mandala Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat London Chapter Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.